All right, the Fujifilm X-T4. At the time of filming this, like Sunday afternoon on the 23rd, there's a little over 2 days left before they like officially like launch it. And from what I can understand, or from what I can see, like it's supposed to like start shipping possibly like around March 20th. So we'll have to see how it goes. I'm currently right now using a Canon 80D, and I'm interested in possibly getting the X-T4 because myself, I was kind of looking at getting the X-T3, but I was kind of looking at the XH1 as well because it has like the internal stabilization in the body. And there's actually a video where they did like a firmware update and it like made it like really good. But I was actually contemplating like buying it with the 16 to 80 f4 because it had OIS built in, but they had started discontinuing the XH1 already. So if this is like an XT3 but has IBIS and it's supposed to have like a bigger battery too and a flip screen, I'd be contemplating possibly buying it too, because I've kind of been looking at, you know, maybe a 90D, a M6 Mark II, maybe EOS RP or something like that, because I know they have the R5 coming out later this year with Canon, but it's going to be priced. It's going to be too expensive for me to buy. I can't throw, you know, 3,500 plus another like grand or two down on lens right now. It's just not something I can afford. If you're like a pro and you're doing this all the time, yeah, sure, but I'm not like making a ton of money with camera stuff at this point in time. So we'll get into what it says here. Fujifilm X-T4, everything we know so far. The X-T4 will be officially announced on the 26th, which is a little over, like, it's like 3 days from now, but that's saying like 2 and some. So we'll see how that goes. I may make another video when they actually have the official release and all this stuff, but a lot of this seems to be pretty on the dot, but we'll see. But there won't be much left to reveal, and recent rumors and links are to be believed. It now looks like we have the mirrorless camera's full specs, along with a good look at its design. It's saying the X-T3 is around 18 months old, and they were expecting the X-T4 to be a little later, like 2 years instead of 18 months. Then we go to the release date and price. It's saying the X-T4 will be announced on the 26th. I'm filming this on the 23rd. I should get this up the same day as well. Shipping will apparently start from March 2020. Fujifilm's now confirmed that the Fuji X-T4 will be announced on February 26th with an official countdown clock ticking down to the date. That's what I showed you. What we don't know yet is when the X-T4 will actually be available to buy. The usually reliable Fuji Rumors is pretty confident, though, that the Fujifilm X-T4 will be shipped from March, which would seem likely given previous Fujifilm release schedules. The same site also claimed that the X-T4 will cost around $1,700 body, which is kind of on the higher end for an APS-C, but Fujifilm kind of throws everything in their APS-C since they have like APS-C, then they have like medium format. They don't deal with the full frame. They leave that to like Sony and Canon and Nikon. If the recent X100V is anything to go by, this will work out around $15.99 in, what was that, pounds, and $29.99 Australian in the UK and Australia respectively. I'm in the US, so I don't care about UK and Australia. This is pretty much in the ballpark of what we expected for the X-T4. X-T3's launch price was $1499.95, but it doesn't have in-body stabilization, a new larger battery, or the other new features below. It does mean the X-T4 is a touch pricier than its main rival, the Sony a6600. That was at launch. That came around 2019. It was $1,400 USD. They host a good value. Full frame rivals could also provide stiff competition with cameras like the Nikon Z6 available today at $1799. See, I might have jumped in the Canon EOS R off the bat if they had dual cards. My battery just died. X-T4, will it have in-body image stabilization? The strongest X-T4 rumor is that it will have IBIS in-body image stabilization. If it doesn't, I probably won't get it, because what I want to get a camera that has, because Sony's cameras have it, but they're, from what I've seen, they're very terrible. So it's not even like, they technically have it, but they don't really have it. Like I was saying, there's that one video, I can't remember the guy's name, I'll link it if I can, where he got the XH1 and with the firmware update, like, and he had it, I think he had it with the, can't remember if he maybe did it with the lens with OIS too, but it was like, I want to have, because I've done like interviews, but I also do like kind of like wedding shoots and stuff too, and with the 80D, I use the 18 to 135 that has, you know, IS in it. So if I can get a body that has IBIS, then a lens that has OIS, the 16 to 80 I think has OIS, because I want to go as much as I can just like handheld, doing, I don't know, dock style work, if you want to call it that, which is like very stripped down, you know, like, if, I mean, obviously I'd get other lenses too, maybe get like some fast primes if I want to do some stuff, but most of it will be like with the one zoom lens, so a constant f4 would be good, and from what I've seen, it's a pretty sharp lens too. So if I got the X-T4 and the 16 to 80, then I got a mic, that would take care of like probably 80-90% of the stuff I film. Then I have like a couple of primes if I need to get other stuff shot too, dual card slots, and I'm assuming it's going to have, you know, like the 10-bit internal. It's going to have the flip screen, we'll get to it here, but I'm hoping too, it doesn't say whether it's going to or not, but they got rid of that tax, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but they got rid of that tax code that makes, because a lot of times you'll have your mirrorless or you'll have your DSLRs, and they'll have, it used to be like 12 minutes, but it has like a 29.59 like limit on it. And the GH5 was marketed as like a video camera, but with the 6400 and the Sony 6600, it was after the fact, so they didn't have to do it, so they have like unlimited recording. So I'm hoping that the X-T4 will have that flip screen, will have the dual card slots, and it will have unlimited recording. If it has that, then that's going to take care of a massive amount of stuff for me. Now, will I still want to possibly get a full frame camera for more photography work at that point? It's a possibility, but with the right lenses and the fast primes and stuff, I can take care of most of it with that possibly. But we'll get into this a little bit more. I got off subject. This can make it a spiritual successor to both the X-T2 and the X-T3. I did see another thing saying that there is going to be an XH2, but not this year, possibly in 2021 or 2022. But they discontinued the XH1. Like, they released it, it was like 6 months later, they released the X-T3, which, it might have been a year, I can't remember. But the specs in that kind of killed the XH1, because the XH1, you needed the battery to get the boosted to have more than like 15 minutes of 4K footage, I believe. But it looked like, I had never used it, but it looked like a nice camera with, once the IBIS was fixed in the firmware. X-T4's biggest new feature is going to be the IBIS, a feature that appears to have been confirmed by recent leaks. Also supposed to have like a bigger battery. I heard that was a big issue with the X-T3. The inclusion of IBIS would be a big new inclusion for both stills and videos. The leak specs suggest the X-T4 has been made a little bit bigger to incorporate. We're expecting it to be 5 millimeters thicker and weigh 68 grams more than the X-T3. Still, if you can accept that, then IBIS will improve handheld shooting in both low light and with lenses that don't have built-in IBIS themselves, with the ones without the OIS. This is also significant because so far only one Fujifilm camera has included IBIS, the Fujifilm X-H1. If the IBIS rumors are to be believed, the X-T4 could be in some ways the spiritual successor to the X-H1 as much as the X-T3, given the camera was announced in February 2018, almost exactly 2 years before the X-T4 rumored launch date. I think it'd be great. Kind of going over to the Canon thing, like now the Canon 90D is supposed to be the 7D Mark II and the 80D successor, because they kind of combined it there, where they gave it like a little thumbstick and higher burst rate and higher megapixel and stuff. So I kind of, there's certain things that this camera is lacking, the 80D that I'm using right now. But it also came out probably getting close to 4 years now. But I've had it for like 2.5. Fujifilm X series cameras have traditionally lacked IBIS because their main sell has been the big sensor small body combo for still photographers, and adding stabilization usually means a larger body. Like I said, I like the kind of it being a little chunky personally. Like I want kind of a DSLR type body, but with just I want it with like the mirrorless tech inside. But with video becoming a much greater focus on the XT line in recent models, and Fujifilm's engineers apparently working a way to make their IBIS system smaller, it certainly seems like a plausible inclusion on the XT4 and would help differentiate from the smaller travel-friendly XT30. The XT4 design, I got a whole thing too. We'll kind of go through all the images here, and I'll talk about that a bit. They got the first glimpse of the XT4's front rear design, and it looks like most of the early rumors correct. They show a fully articulating rear touchscreen, so hopefully it's like fully touch like the Canons. That would be great. Like the Panasonic S1H, I haven't used that, so I don't know. Because there's some, I think like the Sonys are like touch the focus, but you can't touch through the menus and stuff, which is annoying. This will be handy for both folding the screen inwards to protect it while traveling and also shooting video to camera. Otherwise, the XH4 looks similar to its predecessor, bar a slightly thicker body to help accommodate the IBIS. There appears to be a new HDR mode on the left-hand subdial, while the AF assist lamp appears to have moved up a bit. The broader retro looks are still intact, though, and now it seems to have retained the D-pad buttons that were cut from the Fujifilm X100V. Other new features. It's still going to shoot 4K. They're thinking there's not going to be any 6K, which I know more higher productions are getting into 6K and 8K just for the post-processing options for it, which I think, I mean, if you need it, there's cameras for that. There's like the Blackmagic 6K, there's Reds, the 1DX Mark III now does like 5.5K RAW, the C500 Mark II, which is expensive, but it does 5.9K RAW. So there's options. Like if you need 6K, I think the S1H also does 6K. I think if you need 6K, probably I've looked at getting the Blackmagic 6K. I'd want it. I'm like going off on these tangents and rants, but I was looking at that just because it's a Super 35 sensor that takes EF glass, which I already have some, as opposed to the Micro Four Thirds of the Blackmagic 4K. But that's not, like I said, it's all subject. Likely to have a brand new battery. There will also be likely an increase in XT3's body size and weight. IBIS is the biggest rumor. Possibly a new battery. First time since the X Pro 1 arrived in 2012. Is that battery that old that it's 8 years old? Because I know a lot of people are wanting a new battery in the XT3. The rumors around video, early whispers suggest that the XT4 would be able to shoot 6K video, but there seems to have been shot down by the recent spec sheets. These show it will likely top out at 4K 60, but also have fun new 240p mode and full HD for super slow. If that one's actually, if the HD 240, I think 4K 60, they already had that, but I can't remember if if that was 10. I think that might have been 8-bit still, or it might have been 10-bit. It might have been 422 or 420. I mean, on the XT3. If they have 240p at 1080 and it's still autofocus, still, I don't know if you'd even want the audio at that point. Still audio, and still like it's very crisp. If they then can have 120p at 2K, I think that'd be very useful too, because I don't know a lot of people like the 120p, and a lot of people like messing around with 240, but I don't know if a lot of people that actually incorporate 240 a lot into their stuff. It's mostly 60 and 120. But if they could have, 120 at 2K, I think GoPro, completely different beast, but I think GoPro has that. If they could do that, that'd be great. Slightly disappointing that X-T4's EVF appears to be the same as the X-T3's, but the battery is likely to be much improved. X-T3 battery was rated for 390 shots in a single charge. The new MPW235 battery will apparently keep going for 500 shots or up to 600 when using the camera in economy mode. Some rifles like the A6600 have stretched it out to 720 shots with the new Z battery. So this is good news for Fujifilm fans, unless you have a whole bunch of the old batteries. It's now official that the Fujifilm X-T4 is coming on February 26, and the recent leak specs are true. The timing, let's talk about they were hoping for a better EVF, but we'll see how that goes. But we'll look into these here. I'd probably get the all black myself. I was talking about getting the 16 to 80 because it's a constant one with OIS. Me personally, if this doesn't have IBIS, I probably won't get it. I'll probably just wait for something else. The fully articulating screen, which seems to be nice, because a lot of the stuff I'm doing, and I'm just doing YouTube single shooter kind of doc style. Would you call it doc style weddings and stuff? I mean, I'm shooting with another guy, but still all my stuff is me just handheld stuff. So because I don't want to be changing lenses too if I don't need to. It's more of it here. I'm pretty sure they still have clean HDMI out if I want to use a monitor or hook it into a computer like this. I'm not entirely sure because they have. Oh yeah, I'll have to see about the mode dials on top. Still got the little thumb dial on the back. Because I wonder if it's going to be fully articulating too, if you can, with the EOS R, where you can if you're shooting with the EVF, I'm wondering if you can also use your thumb on the right half of the screen and just move the focus across the screen, or you have to use the thumb dial. That'd be interesting if they incorporate that. Seems to have a nice little texture. I'm sure they'll have a battery grip the same as the XH1 and the X-T3. They'll probably give it better battery life. Here's that little flap on the bottom. I'm not sure if it uses a... hopefully it's not a micro HDMI. It'd be cool if it used a full HDMI, but I don't think it does. I think it'd probably use a mini HDMI. Should be dual SD card slots, I would assume. You probably have to get fast ones though. So let's go through all that. Yeah, so let me know what you think in the comments, whether you're interested in possibly buying it. What are possible deal breakers? If it, for me, if it didn't have IBIS, I probably won't get it. I might possibly still see if I can find, if it didn't have IBIS, I'd possibly still look and see if I can find an XH1 with that, because I don't technically need 10-bit 4K, but 4K, just 8-bit would be nice. Most of the things I do would still be 8-bit. I mean, a lot of stuff I still do is still 1080p. There aren't a lot of people really asking for 4K stuff, or they even really know about it. It's just the people that's probably watching this is in the know, that's trying to get better stuff and push it further. But yeah, let me know. I'll get into this. I'll probably make another video when they actually do fully release it. If it's what we already know, then maybe not. But if it doesn't, but if it is completely different, then I will. But yeah, I think IBIS is the big thing for me, because flip screen is cool, new battery is cool. Most of the stuff X-T3 had was cool. It's just I'm wondering if they're going to do where it's unlimited recording. That'd be nice. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you like this, you can give me a like. If you like it, you can subscribe. I'm like around 235. I'm trying to hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. But all right, cool. Peace. Later.